Hello, next new video. Today we're gonna take a look at Hydreigon in the Open Master League. This Pokemon is actually quite interesting, especially in the nowadays meta. This Pokemon gained quite a lot of ground thanks to the Necrozma forms being released, thanks to Palkia being quite common, which is a fairly neutral matchup, at least for this Pokemon, as you have Dragon Breath, plus also Brutal Swing, which is going to do super effective / neutral damage. So honestly, Hydreigon is quite an interesting Pokemon for the current meta. And of course, I know from all the other Master League videos that I did recently about like weird Pokemon that currently have a lot of play in the meta, that you hopefully like this one as well here with the Hydreigon, a Pokemon that most people don't really expect. Also, we're running the coverage move of Flash Cannon, which can come in clutch as well against a lot of the Fairy type Pokemon, which is kind of cool. We're going to have the lead here of Tapu Bulu. I could have went again for the save swap of the Landorus Therian form, but I just kind of wanted to spice it up a little bit. And so we're going to have here the Giratina, not the origin form, but the altered form, and with Shadow Force. Here I make already a little bit of a mistake in the first battle. Going into my Giratina against Necrozma was quite a little bit silly, because now I have to hope there's something in the back that we can beat with our Hydreigon, and let's find out if this is going to be the case. This can still go for another charge move. I think it's just going to be a Dark Pulse anyway. That's not going to do too much damage, and it's going to be the Kyogre in the back, and that's actually going to be quite nice. And I kind of want to try to get up this Nature's Madness again. We are not actually running Grass Knot on our Tapu Bulu anymore. You can run Grass Knot still, like it's still a solid move to go for, but I feel like Mega Horn has a little bit of play, at least in theory. To be fair, there has not been yet a single game where I actually used Mega Horn where it surprised my opponent and actually did quite a lot for me. So yeah, Grass Knot is still fine, but at the end of the day, 90% of the time you're gonna go ahead and go for that Nature's Madness anyway. And here we're going to be able to finish up the first battle with Hydreigon. Fairly neutral lead here. Landorus against us. Well, yes, on paper it's a ground type against the grass type Pokemon. It's also a flying type against the grass type Pokemon, which does not run any flying type coverage move, because actually a Landorus Therian form barely gets any kind of flying type damage. In the main CS games, you had sometimes running them the Hidden Power, or nowadays of course Terra Blast as a flying type Pokemon. But yeah, in general it doesn't really get any flying type coverage. Here we will be able to actually align ourselves with a one shield disadvantage, as we can go into the Giratina. They're swapping onto the Dialga. We could try to go ahead and go for the Shadow Force, but I kind of want to bait this one first. It is going to be definitely a tricky matchup to still win here, as we can go for the Dragon Claw. We can get them kind of a little bit lower, but now we can actually reach that Shadow Force in time and look at the damage. Shadow Force is a garbage move, but look at this one. What a great animation. Honestly, I feel like Shadow Force deserves a little bit of a damage upgrade. Like, keep it at the energy level. Like, keep it like, I think it's 90 energy right now, which is ridiculous. But just like add maybe like 20 or 30 damage onto it, because even if you're going to consider that Giratina would be then a little bit more common, maybe this form especially, like at the end of the day, like getting to a 90 energy move, you might get there once or twice set or whatever. I don't know, like it's very difficult to get there consistently. It's very difficult to not get this shielded, so there's a lot of risk into it. So I would like to see that Shadow Force eventually gets a buff, so it's going to be better than Shadow Sneak at least, which is currently not the case. Anyway, we're going to see here the matchup against the Ho-Oh. We're actually going to be able to reach the final charge move with 1 HP in a dream, which is quite lucky, and so we're going to be able to win this one. Next opponent coming up, we're going to have actually Giratina in the lead as well, which is quite a rare Pokemon, so it was kind of funny to face it here as well. Like, I have not seen this Pokemon in ages, now we're rerunning it as well. We're going to encounter it against us, but that's fine. I'm not really too worried about it. Here they swap onto the Zacian, which is fine. We can get some damage onto him, but also just in general the defense top, which might be great for our backline. We can't really swap out here yet. We can decide to swap on into our Giratina eventually though. Here decide to use a shield, and Nature's Madness is coming through, would knock them out if they let the move go through, which they will not. And so we can try to catch a move maybe even, but we decide to still stay in here for a little bit and use another shield actually against a Wild Charge, which is quite wild. We are going to be able to swap out now into our Giratina. They can still go for a charge move. Hopefully it's not the Play Rough. Well, let's find out what it is. It's going to be the Play Rough, and so they did way more damage than they should have, and that is definitely on me. But in the back is going to be a Xerneas. Maybe I still have a chance here if I can hit this hard-hitting Shadow Force against the opponent. Well, let's find out. It is going to do just half of the opponent's health, which is quite ridiculous. Like, honestly, really wish that this move would be a little bit better than it is right now, because I feel like it would be a fun move to go for. But anyway, we're going to see the Giratina starting back in, which will allow us to go ahead and go into our own Hydreigon, which of course gets super effective damage from that Dragon Claw, but at least the Shadow Claw is going to be resisted onto us. So we are going to be able to still survive this one. We can even survive another one, but now we have to kind of hope that we can catch a move onto our Tapu Bulu from the opponent's Xerneas, and it has to be kind of a close combat in order to have a chance of winning this battle. And we're going to be able to do exactly this, and so let's see if we can go for another charge move afterwards. We cannot. I did not expect that the close combat here, non-stab, would knock me out from this range. Here, of course, that's kind of clear, of course, but like for a resisted close combat to do that much damage is quite ridiculous. Great lead for us. Palkia is basically the perfect lead for this team. Like, there is nothing that, Palkia can do against our Tapu Bulu, which is kind of cool. Unless they're running Fire Blast, I think this is still an option for even the new form of it. In comes here the Necrozma. Not ideal by any means, but it's a fine matchup to deal with. They're gonna go for the Dark Pulse. I can go for a Dragon Claw here. Not too sure if this is going to really help me or not. But it is going to be able to connect, and we can go for the full farm down. Keeping alignment, keeping bow shields on both sides of this game here. So let's see how the opponent tries to retaliate. They go back into the Palkia. We should be able to go for at least 2 charge moves against the opponent. And this is actually getting a shield already, which is quite good, as they let the actually use a charge move against our next move, because I guess you don't want to have the damage of the Dragon Claw against them, which seems kind of fair. So let's see what the opponent is going to have in the back. It's going to be the Landorus, and because we overfarmed, because we waited, we're just going to be able to hit like those debuffing Nature's Madness quite easily. And honestly, like, I don't really know what the opponent really tried to do there. Like, they kind of needed to stay in my opinion. But here we're just going to be able to now go ahead and go to our Hydreigon, let the moves go through. I don't really care too much about this in general, as I still have the energy on my other Pokemon. As long as I can get rid of this thing here against the Landorus here, we're going to be fine. But the opponent still survives, but not with enough HP to survive also the Dragon Breath damage. And so we are going to be in a great spot, as we can go ahead and go for another Nature's Madness, which is going to be able to, let's find out here, give us a win. That's kind of nice. We got a nice win there. Next opponent, we're going to have the lead of Dialga. Honestly, Dialga Origin Form is such a weird one to me, because I was like thinking in the beginning, the difference is barely really there compared to the normal Dialga. But honestly, like the difference in like 2 specific cases, at least, which I've seen so far, is so ridiculous. Like, literally, like, such a different Pokemon. For example, you're actually not going to be able to knock out the opponent here with 2 Nature's Madness usually. They actually used the shield here, which I didn't have to. They would have got 2 shields basically as well from me, most likely. And so, yeah, I don't know, like, it is very, very difficult just in general to be in this matchup. Here, let's see what the opponent gonna try to do. We're gonna be able to go for the Nature's Madness, knock them out. And yeah, usually Nature's Madness, if you just go for 2 back-to-back, is not going to be able to knock them out in the Origin form, but is going to be enough to knock them out in the other form, in just the normal Dialga form. So basically, this matchup kind of changes quite a bit if it's a normal Dialga or if it's going to be the Origin form. Like, quite a big difference. Other difference would be also against the matchup against Landorus, which I talked about several times already in videos, where Landorus would be able to just easily farm down a normal Dialga after one Hansen Storm in the one-shot scenario. Well, this is not the case anymore with the buffed defense of the Origin form. Anyway, here we're going to be able to go for the Dragon Claw spam against the opponent's Landorus, which is going to get them quite low, as we even reach another one, forcing the opponent to go ahead and go for another shield. This is going to be quite nice, as now we can swap out here. They have a Ho-Oh in the back that is not very nice, but at least we can damage them a little bit and now swap out and try our best with our Hydreigon. As you guys see as well already, the defense drop kind of can help for sure with the Dragon Breath damage here, as we are going to be able to just go ahead and go for the full farm down now. This is looking very, very positive for us. We can let the move go through as well, which we have to do anyway. And so Brave Bird is coming through, and we can slowly knock them out before they can do anything against me. Next opponent, we're going to have another Landorus in lead. That's going to be, again, a very neutral matchup here. You can stay in, you kind of want to stay in with your lead. For sure, as they swap out into their Ho-Oh, I must make a little bit of a mistake here by going into my Hydreigon. It is safer, for sure, guarantee you, to go into the Giratina here against the Ho-Oh, because Ho-Oh, in general, has to be a little bit fear like the potential of the Ancient Power, which it can learn like the Giratina. But here right now, it doesn't really have to fear anything. And otherwise, of course, it's just like, I feel like it's just a little bit of an easier one anyway. Here we're going to be able to just go ahead and go for the full farm against the opponent. We have a ton of energy. They have a loaded Landorus Therian form, which is quite annoying, as we are going to swap out here. They have a Lugia in the back. I was like thinking, okay, there's no way I can win this battle. I could just forfeit here already, but why not just try to play it out? Like, just why not try to have a little bit of fun here? So, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna decide to go ahead and go for... hopefully soon another charge move. But yeah, they actually decided to go for the Sky Thackery, which is quite important, because if they tried to overfarm a little bit more towards the other move, towards the Aeroblast, we would have been in a little bit of a worse spot here. But like this, we can just let the move go through here against our Landorus. It is going to be that Sandsear Storm, and we are going to be able to try to reach that Shadow Force here, hopefully. But I would rather go for one Dragon Claw, maybe even two Dragon Claw, and that should also seal the deal. As we're gonna see here now, the opponent can get an attack drop onto me, but we can still go for some Dragon Claws. You most likely need like 3 or 4 against the opponent, but I think we're still going to be fine, because we also still have that Hydreigon lurking there, which has some energy stored and also can clear the debuff onto us, which is going to be great. And so what we're gonna see here as well is that this Brutal Swing is gonna get shielded, the opponent shields, and another Brutal Swing is going to be able to seal the deal, winning us this battle with quite some ease. Next opponent, we're going to have here the Zacian in the lead. That's just going to be quite a neutral matchup. Again, I kind of missed the time where Zacian was running Wild Charge plus Close Combat the entire time. Like, this moveset doesn't make any sense at all in the current meta, by the way, anymore. So, like, don't get me wrong, I do understand why people are running it. Like, the other ways, like, you know, with Play Rough, basically, instead of usually the Close Combat. But still, I kind of think it is a cool kind of way here to counter them, at least if they would have that with our Tapu Bulu, but of course they don't. Anyway, I definitely like the current Master League meta way more now, where everybody is running the Necrozma, because, like, this is the thing as well. Right now in the Open Great League, the meta is really balanced. Like, the meta is decent. If you really think about it, like, the meta is decent, like, everything is kind of in its own place, but it is so kind of equally balanced that it kind of gets very lame. Like, it just kind of gets very lame, and it's kind of difficult to build teams around, because you don't really know what you're going to encounter. You have like a list of like 30 Pokemon that are all kind of not created equally, but like have kind of different or like kind of similar power strength levels, and it's just very difficult to kind of adjust your own team in the Open Great League right now. And here, for example, this was the same case for me in the Master League, and now since Necrozma got kind of a global release, certain Pokemon dropped a little bit, certain Pokemon got a little bit better, and you are just able to kind of, yeah, maneuver around them a little bit. Here we have a lot of recent videos about just countering the Necrozmas, and like that is a lot of fun, and that actually works out quite well, and this kind of gives you some more interesting ideas towards, okay, what kind of team do you want to build? But yeah, anyway, I kind of rambling off here right now, but we're gonna take a look here at Shadow Claw, not Shadow Claw, Dragon Claw coming through against the opponent's Zarude. Zarude, also a Pokemon I thought of showcasing here today, but I was like, Hydreigon has a little bit less spotlight recently, and so I think it's going to be the funny I want to take a look at. Final battlefield today here. We're going to have the Tapu Bulu going to be able to go ahead and go for that Nature's Madness against the opponent's Dialga. Again, as I said before, this can be actually quite a little bit of an awkward one. It might be also coming down to this, yeah, the best buddy ribbon on the Dialga. I'm not too sure about it, but as you're going to see here, we can just go ahead and go for the Nature's Madness, which is going to be able to get them quite low, and as we saw as well, they survived with like 1 HP, and this would have never happened against the normal Dialga, which is kind of a little bit sad. But anyway, we're going to be able to go for the full farm now, as they're going to have the Manibus of the Master League Yveltal in the back, which is going to be something that we can only try to go for some Dragon Claws against. I wish I sometimes had like Ancient Power on this Pokemon. I feel like Ancient Power would have been the better move to go for, by the way. On the Giratina, if you don't want to run not Phantom Force, it is Shadow Force. Phantom Force is also a move, I think, in Pokemon Go, which is quite the same like Shadow Force, but that has just different names, I don't really understand, to be fair. But anyway, we're going to be able to go ahead and go for some Dragon Claw spam here, which is not going to be enough to knock them all out. But we are going to be able to just go ahead and go for some Brutal Swing now coming in. This is going to be quite nice. This is going to be able to get the shield. And we still have to get rid of 2 shields of the opponent, so we have to be a little bit mindful here. Let's see if this is gonna go here. We're gonna see the Brave Bird. That's going to be a game. There's nothing I can do here anymore. If they let the move go through, like, they're still going to be in a fine spot, and they do. And so that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and if you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.